Hello, it's October 30th and we're ready for our Course in Miracles lesson 303. The Holy Christ is born in me today. The Holy Christ is born in me today. I hope you can hear that little brook behind me. We've had a lot of rain and this little brook on my place runs it always has some water in it, but it's not always running up above the ground. Nice place to sit. I was out looking for mushrooms and find a nice quiet place to meditate. In my pack, I carried this squash down here just so I could show you another squash too. The Holy Christ is born in me today. Watch with me, angels. Watch with me today. That great cloud of witnesses we read about. Look what he's saying. It says, watch with me, angels. Watch with me today. Let all God's holy thoughts surround me and be still with me while heaven's Son is born. Isn't that beautiful? God's thoughts are his angels, and all of us are his angels. All of us are his thoughts. And he says, be still with me while heaven's Son is born. Isn't that beautiful? We're being born. Let earthly sounds be quiet, and the sights to which I am accustomed disappear. Let Christ be welcomed where he is at home, and let him hear the sounds he understands, and see but sights which show his Father's love. Let him no longer be a stranger here, for he is born again in me today. Don't let the Christ be stranger here. Let him be born again in us today. Your Son is welcome, Father. He has come to save me from the evil self I made. He is the self that you have given me. He is but what I really am in truth. He is the Son you love above all things. He is myself, as you created me. It is not Christ that can be crucified. Safe in your arms, let me receive your Son. Safe in your arms, let me receive your Son. The Holy Christ is born in you today. The Holy Christ is born in me today. All right, let's go take a look in our text reading. We're going to finish that section. It's a little longer reading, so I probably won't say a lot, but it speaks for itself. I might bring attention to a couple things. We are ready for paragraph 33. I think we'll start with 32. And while you're turning there, if you'd like, let me tell you just a minute about these particular this squash. Let me go over here and show it to you. Okay, let's see. That is a little flat. I don't know what they call. I don't know what they call these different kinds of squashes, but they all have one thing in common. All these cucurbito is the genus, and this one could be one of three different species, and those species are four: Cucurbita pepo, Cucurbita maxima, Cucurbita moschata, and Cucurbita mixta. They all have slightly different characteristics. It's a real big genus. I think they said there are like 700 different species of Cucurbita, but there's four real common ones, and it might have been there were 700 cultivars but anyway, there's a lot of them. I'm not exactly sure. And I didn't want to go into the details of finding out which particular cucurbito this is. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. Cucurbita. Anyway, that Latin has a nice ring to it. I think if you kind of get a nice way of saying it. Anyway, I'm real eager to try all these, and I told you the other day that I wanted to find a way to carve a face in a pumpkin and not have it spoil. Well, I think I figured it out. You just wait till a couple days before you really want to show it with the candle in it. And then keep it in the refrigerator. Put it in the evening so that you can see the candle in the evening. Let the kids all have fun looking at it. And then after they go to sleep at night, put it in the refrigerator or set it, put the cap back on it. Make sure the cap's on it. And maybe wrap it in a sack and put it out on the porch to stay cool. Keep it cool is what I'm trying to say. Keep it cool. There's no reason why it couldn't last several days. And then go ahead, and I found someone online that was saying that they just go ahead and cook them up. Make your pumpkin then. So that way you're not wasting the pumpkin. Because that's really more of an important thing to pass on to your children, is to eat the pumpkin and how to cook it rather than just carve a face and toss it. A lot of us were raised that way, weren't we? All right, let's take a look at paragraph 32 now. And let's see. I'm trying to make sure that we're recording there. Nothing God created can oppose your will, as nothing God created can oppose His. God gave your will its power, which I can only acknowledge in honor of His. If you want to be like me, I will help you, knowing that we are alike. If you want to be different, I will wait until you change your mind. I love that. I can teach you, but only you can choose to listen to my teaching. Remember, you can't force any teaching on anyone. Teaching is an internal thing that you have to receive. How else can it be if God's kingdom is freedom? Freedom cannot be learned by tyranny of any kind, and the perfect equality of all God's sons cannot be recognized through the dominion of one will over another. God's sons are equal in will, all being the will of their Father. This is the only lesson I came to teach, knowing that it is true. When your will is not mine, it is not our Father's. This means that you have imprisoned yours and have not let it be free. Of yourselves you can do nothing. Because of yourselves you are nothing. I am nothing without the Father, and you are nothing without me, because by denying the Father, you deny yourself. I will always remember you, and in my remembrance of you lies your remembrance of yourself. In your remembrance of each other lies our remembrance of God. Listen to that one. In our remembrance of each other lies our remembrance of God. And in this remembrance lies your freedom, because your freedom is in Him. Join then with me in praise of Him and you whom He created. This is our gift of gratitude to Him, which He will share with all His creations, to whom He gives equally whatever is acceptable to Him. Because it is acceptable to Him, it is the gift of freedom, which is His will for all His sons. By offering freedom, you will be free. Remember, what you offer is what you get. And He says the praise we give to God is the praise we give to ourselves. And that praise is our gratitude to all creation, to the Father, and to His sons. 34. Freedom is the only gift you can offer to God's Son, being an acknowledgement of what they are and what He is. Freedom is creation because it is love. What you seek to imprison, you do not love. Therefore, when you seek to imprison anyone, including yourself, you do not love him, and you cannot identify with him. Wow, listen to that. When you seek to imprison anyone, including yourself, you do not love yourself or the person you're trying to imprison. And you're not really trying to imprison them maybe in your mind, but you're trying to make them do a certain thing or be a certain way or think a certain thing. And we can't force people. We have to let the internal teacher teach them. We can teach them, but they have to learn it themselves. And what we want to learn is to be thankful. When you imprison yourself, you're losing sight of your true identification with me and with the Father. Your identification is with the Father and with the Son. It cannot be with one and not the other. If you are part of one, you must be part of the other, because they are one. The Holy Trinity is holy because it is one. If you exclude yourself from this union, you're perceiving the Holy Trinity as separated. You must be included in it because it is everything. Unless you take your place in it and fulfill your function as part of it, it is as bereft as you are. No part of it can be imprisoned if its truth is to be known. Can you be separated from your identification and be at peace? Can you be separated from your identification and be at peace? Dissociation is not a solution. It is a delusion. The delusional believe that truth will assail them, and so they do not see it, because they prefer the delusion. Judging truth as something they do not want, they perceive deception and block knowledge. 36. Help them by offering them your unified will on their belief, as I am offering you mine on yours. Alone we can do nothing, but together our wills fuse into something whose power is far beyond the power of its separate parts. By not being separate, the will of God is established in ours and as ours. This will is invincible because it is undivided. The undivided will of the sonship is the perfect Creator, being holy in the likeness of God, whose will it is. You cannot be exempt from it if you are to understand what it is and what you are. By separating your will from mine, you're exempting yourself from the will of God, which is yourself. 37. Yet to heal is to still make whole. Therefore, to heal is to unite with those who are like you, because perceiving this likeness is to recognize the Father. If your perfection is in Him and only in Him, how can you know it without recognizing Him? The recognition of God is the recognition of yourself. There is no separation of God and His creation. You will learn this as you learn that there is no separation of your will and mine. Let the love of God shine upon you by your acceptance of me. My reality is yours and His. By joining your will with mine, you are signifying your awareness that the will of God is one. 38. God's oneness and ours are not separate, because His oneness encompasses ours. To join with me is to restore His power to you, because we are sharing it. I offer you only the recognition of His power in you, but in that lies all truth. As we unite with Him. Glory be to the union of God and His holy sons. All glory lies in them because they are united. All glory lies in them because they are united. The miracles we do bear witness to the will of the Father for His Son, and to our joy in uniting with His will for us. 39. And remember, His will is that which you want to do. It's your will too. Don't ever think you're being forced. You're only being drug along if you're looking at things upside down. The truth is that your will is God's. 39. When you unite with me, you're uniting with the ego, because I have renounced the ego in myself and therefore cannot unite with yours. Our union is therefore the way to renounce the ego in yourself. The truth in both of us is beyond the ego. Okay, listen what he says. Our union is therefore the way to renounce the ego in yourself. The truth in both of us is beyond the ego. By willing that you have gone beyond it toward truth. By willing to go beyond the ego, you have gone beyond it toward truth. Our success in transcending the ego is guaranteed by God, and I can share my perfect confidence in His promise because I know He gave me this confidence for both of us and all of us. I bring God's peace back to all His children because I received it of Him for us all. Nothing can prevail against our united wills because nothing can prevail against God's. Would you know the will of God for you? Ask it of me who knows it for you, and you will find it. I will deny you nothing, as God denies me nothing. 40. Ours is simply the journey back to God, who is our home. Whenever fear intrudes anywhere along the road to peace, it is always because the ego has attempted to join the journey with us and cannot do so. Sensing defeat and angered by it, the ego regards itself as rejected and becomes retaliative. You are invulnerable to its retaliation because I am with you. On this journey, you have chosen me as your companion instead of the ego. Do not try to hold on to both, or you will try to go in different directions and will lose the way. Lose the way. And the last paragraph, 41. The ego's way is not mine, but it is also not yours. The Holy Spirit has one direction for all minds, and the one He taught me is yours. Let us not lose sight of His direction through illusions, for only illusions of another direction can obscure the one for which God's voice speaks in all of us. Never accord the ego the power to interfere with the journey, because it has none, and the journey is the way to what is true. Leave all deception behind, and reach beyond all attempts of the ego to hold you back. I go before you because I am beyond the ego. Reach therefore my hand, because you want to transcend the ego. Reach therefore for my hand, because you want to transcend the ego. My will never be wanting, and if you want to share it, you will. I give it willingly and gladly, because I need you as much as you need me. And boy, it just brings me to the thought of our lesson today. The Holy Christ is born in me today. It's all He's asking us to follow Him and to be born into the Christ. Be born again today. What is the second coming? Let's read that. Christ's second coming, which is sure as God, is merely the correction of mistakes and the return of sanity. It is a part of the condition which restores the never lost and reestablishes what is forever and forever true. It is the invitation to God's Word to take illusion's place, the willingness to let forgiveness rest upon all things, without exception and without reserve. It is the all-inclusive nature of Christ's second coming that permits it to embrace the world and holds you safe within its gentle advent, which encompasses all living things with you. There is no end to the release the second coming brings, as God's creation must be limitless. Forgiveness lights the second coming's way, because it shines on everyone as one, and thus is oneness recognized at last. The second coming ends the lessons which the Holy Spirit teaches, making way for the last judgment, in which learning ends in one last summary that will extend beyond itself and reaches up to God. The second coming is the time in which all minds are given to the hands of Christ to be returned to spirit in the name of true creation and the will of God. The second coming is the one event in time which time itself cannot affect. For everyone who ever came to die or yet will come, or who is present now, is equally released from what he made. In this equality is Christ restored as one identity. in which all sons of God acknowledge that they all are one. And God the Father smiles upon His Son, His one creation and His only joy. Pray that this second coming may be soon, or will be soon. But do not rest with that. It needs your eyes and ears and hands and feet. It needs your voice. And most of all, it needs your willingness. Let us rejoice that we can do God's will and join together in its holy light. Behold, the Son of God is one in us, and we can reach our Father's love through Him. And we are supposed to read that once a day, and I would encourage you to read it again, either in your evening or morning meditation, and read it thoughtfully and contemplatively. I mean, if following along with me is doing it for you, well then let that be the way it is. But if you want to spend a little more time doing something, well, that'd be something I'd encourage you to do. Read it thoughtfully and slowly with your morning meditation or your evening meditation. The Holy Christ is born in me today. Watch with me, angels, watch with me today. Let all God's holy thoughts surround me and be still with me while heaven's Son is born. Let earthly sounds be quiet and the sights to which I am accustomed disappear. Let Christ be welcomed where He is at home, and let Him hear the sounds He understands and sees but sights which show His Father's love. Let Him no longer be a stranger here, for He is born again in me today. For He is born again in me today. And the prayer says, Your Son is welcome, Father. He has come to save me from the evil self I made. We want to let the Son be welcome in our life and save us from the evil self we made. He is the self that you have given me. He is but what I really am in truth. He is the Son you love above all things. He is myself as you created me. It is not Christ that can be crucified. Safe in your arms, let me receive your Son. The Holy Christ is born in me today.